We're here to just do a quick tutorial on how to do Pear Deck. A lot of it is quite intuitive, and it's a lot of fun to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a slide together. We're going to walk through that, and then you're going to try it as students, and I'm going to show you everything from like the back end, so to speak, or what you would see as a teacher when you're setting this up. So without any further ado, I'm going to start off with our territorial acknowledgement. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which I live and work are the lands traditionally used by the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. I acknowledge that I live and work on land situated on the Haldeman Tract, lands promised to the Six Nations that includes 10 kilometers on each side of the Grand River. I also acknowledge the enduring presence and deep traditional knowledge, laws, and philosophies of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today. We are all treaty people with a responsibility to honor all our relations. So our agenda for this, I initially was the half hour. I stretched it to 45 minutes because I was afraid we were going to have too much to squeeze in, and I'd rather finish early than go too long. So this is our agenda. We're going to get started with getting you get the add-on on slides. So we're going to walk through those steps together. Before the session is basically how you're going to create your slides or whatever you're going to share with your class, whether it's the lesson or Pear Deck is paired with Google Slides, so it can be a numerous types of activities, and you'll see that. But it could also be a lesson. You're doing a mini lesson with a class. It could be that too. So we're going to talk about how you set it up before, types of interactivity that students can have in your summer school. And then we're going to talk about during the session, what are some things you can do during to be responsive, how you can pace it so that you're in control as an instructor, or it can be student paced. That's something that they might do asynchronously. You have both options in Pear Deck. And then we're going to talk about, after the session, what some of the assessment and evidence pieces that you can gather. So the premium piece that we have this for summer school, which is pretty sweet, gives us the ability to do a little bit more with that. There's a reflect and review feature, and then we're going to talk about how you can just export stuff to spreadsheet if you like that. So first step is getting that add-on. So what we're going to do is open any Google slide. I'm going to escape out of my presentation mode so you can see where to go. So I'm going to give you just 30 seconds to open any Google slide if you have one. If you don't have one, I'll give you here. Better yet, I will take this link and I'll drop it in the chat. So then you can open the one we're in. You can't edit it, but you can still use that as a way of opening Google Slides. And you can go to get add-ons. It's pretty sweet. And then there's a million different add-ons you can get for your Google Slides, but you're going to search for Pear Deck and install that one. And it will initialize with asking for your credentials, Google Apps credentials. So I'll give you a minute to do that. I've already installed mine. And that's pretty much step one. We're halfway there already. So let me know. I might not be looking at the chat right now. So if you unmute and let me know if you're having any trouble with that.
Wait, where do you get the add-on again? Sorry, I missed that part.
That's okay.
Add-on in the Google Slides. Okay.
Yep, in the Google Slides, and then you get add-ons. Sweet. So I will let you do that. And those of you who've gotten the add-on, this is something that I'm going to leave as a reference for you. But I'm going to take this and copy and paste it in the chat as well. If you go to this home landing for your premium account, this link, you can kind of favorite that link. That is where you can control some of the settings for your premium account. So I'm going to jump into mine just so you can see what it looks like. If I go to settings, there's a few things I can control But one of the things that's super crucial, because we're getting assignments from students, is this. So it just makes students, oh, connection issues, keep trying. That's okay. I think my internet's maybe acting up. But this, yeah, there we go. So requires student logins. You can turn that on because before having premium, we just used it with students anonymously. So you interact, they interact with you. You get anonymous kind of like anecdotal data on what your students are thinking in general. Right now, we're going to use some of this in summer school to do some assessment and gathering of evidence. So if you turn that on, that also means that you have to get that third-party permission because they are signing in with their Google account, and it is Pear Deck is getting information from their Google account. So I think that went out in some of the information for startup, but that link is also here. So you can send that to parents for them to give permission for that. So I'm going to pause there and I'm going to ask questions. Do you have anybody have questions about what we've done so far? We're just setting up our Pear Deck so that we can mess around with it. Oh, hand up, I think I see, or here. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, I know I was looking at the settings and it said like the Google Classroom one. Do you need to turn that on or no?
No, that you can if you want. If you're using Google Classroom and you want to connect to your Pear Deck so that you can have that, it's basically that capacity to send things to Google Classroom directly instead of copying and pasting a link. You can. If you don't want your life to be complicated right now, just leave it off. And then when you feel like you're ready to mess around, you can turn it on. It won't do anything horrible. It just takes your Google Classroom and gives Pear Deck the ability to, when you're done lessons, drop it into Google Classroom.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Good question. All right. So let's keep marching on here. I'm going to leave this the way it is right now, just so that you can see what I would do as I'm setting up my Google slide. Before the session, we are going to talk about how you might set up some of the interactions and what they are, right? So here are some of the options you have for types of interactivity in a session. So students can respond via text. I think Sarika, can you mute your mic there? We're getting a little bit of noise there. Thank you. So you might have number response. You might embed a website for students to read and jot note or respond to something while they're doing that. You might create a tool for students to draw something or drag some images. So we're going to look at all 6 of these together. We're going to set them up, and then you're going to be the students trying this in the next half hour. It's perfect. So the first one we're going to jump into is text. So one word to describe your day is the prompt that I'm thinking I want my students to do. So here's how it works. So I'm going to click on add-ons. I already have Pear Deck there. It says I'm going to open Pear Deck add-on. And then on the right-hand side, I should get a little bit slow today. All these options. So these are all the options we just talked about that you can do with Pear Deck. There's also this add audio to slides. So you can add, if you want to add audio instructions, it'll drop in a link to an audio recording that you can put in. So let's start with text. So I'm going to click on text, and it's going to say, all right, I'm adding interactive question to your. All right, and then you'll know that you have a Pear Deck item in there because it'll automatically put that bar in. And it says, don't remove this bar, right? And so don't remove that bar unless you're getting rid of the interactivity. So that's pretty much it. So I've clicked on text. It's given this slide. When I start my Pear Deck, I'll show you how that works during the session section. But it's going to have the capacity for students to respond with text, which is pretty sweet. All right. So jumping on to the next thing, numbers. So how many years have you been teaching? So I want to get a number response here. A quick number response. I'm going to click on number. Okay, so it's telling me, hey, students can type a number. It's all good. It's giving me information, whether it's a class projector or a student device. both works. The two differences are really instructor paced. We'll talk about that when we start during the session, or student paced types of activities you can do. So it would be like asynchronous and synchronous, whole class or small group synchronous or asynchronous. All right, so that's that. Multiple choice. What's your favorite food? So this is kind of going to require some input from me. I'm going to click on multiple choice here. And I have options. So types of food, I was like, okay, pizza. All right. What else? Oh, I love shawarmas. Pierogies, maybe. Oh, have you guys had banh mi? It's a Vietnamese sandwich. Delicious. Okay, I would take input from you guys right now, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to say that's the options. So that's a great way of like just polling your students as well, because that data is available to you afterwards, and you can see how students responded, how students might be feeling about something. We'll talk about that in the assessment section. So that's multiple choice. Websites also pretty cool too. You can embed a website within a Pear Deck so that when students get to that portion in your lesson, you might give them time to browse a website, a specific site, controls what they're looking at, and then they have to maybe perhaps respond to something that you have on your slide. So in this slide, I've kind of written, okay, take 3 minutes to watch a quick how-to video of your choice from this website, reflect on how you might try what you saw in your classroom. This is me, like you as my students. This is the prompt. I put the prompt in my slide because your slide will show up to the students. You'll see it in a moment with the website. And this is the website I want. So I'm going to copy this little link and I'm going to click website. Pear Deck is working. Yep, got it. I can do student device or classroom projector. That's great. I'm going to paste my website. This is what it looks like. Gives me a little preview to make sure that I've pasted the right website. And then this is a nice tip. If you're not seeing what you expect, you might have forgot to have the HTTPS part in your URL. Check that. Great tip. And then I'm going to go update slide. So you can see creating the slides does not require tons of effort and energy. We just have to know what our options are. This is a fun one. Students can draw stuff, right? So this is the draw and draggable are premium only. So if you're going on past summer school and wanting to do Pear Deck stuff, just keep that in mind. You won't have access to these two. They're premium, but we do this summer, so let's enjoy it. Okay, we're going to draw a cat. So I'm going to click that, and it's going to insert that into this slide. Boom, good to go. This is one of the ways you might use a draggable icon. And draggable icons would be like, they have lots of options. Basically, it kind of shows where students are at. You might do it as a scale of how you're feeling, what you understand. You might do a map where students are just sharing where they've visited or they've lived before. So I'm going to create and click on draggable. So it's great because it gives you a little view of an example, right? The icon can be a dot or any one of these shapes. I like this because it looks like, map pin. I'm going to select the color to be blue. Should go light blue, dark blue, dark blue. I'm going to add another. Now there's a limit as to how many you can add. Unfortunately, I can't just keep adding forever. Oh wait, nice. I can get farm. So let's maybe people would have visited more than they would have lived. So I'll give you 3 of those, and that's all I get. And I want to change the size of these icons to be a bit smaller because my map is kind of tiny. So I'm going to move that. So you can control the size of the little icons. It should give me an idea. All right, I'm going to go update slide. And now that will have those draggable pins so that when you look at this as a student, you can drag those pins to where you've lived or where you've visited before. Okay, so that's kind of like we've set up our stuff. Let's talk about setting up interactions for students during the session. The thing that I like about Pear Deck is the fact that you can once you start a session, you can also always add any of these elements. So let's say you're on a slide and you go, oh, you know what, I would really like to get feedback or get a student response to this. So you can quickly add a text or multiple choice thing to a slide as you're going through it. You can also provide feedback to what students are saying in real time and highlight, oh, I want to catch this in consolidation, so I'll put a star on it or something. Whether you're using that for consolidation or other purposes, there's ways that you can put a star. And we'll look at that together. And the students will see your feedback in real time and get a little notification on the bottom right. That's kind of like a little circle on a chat thing that says, hey, there's a piece of feedback from your teacher as the lesson is going on. So for example, if you paused to give people time to work on something or think about something, that while they're doing that, you can give feedback and they can see your feedback. So there's interactivity within the presentation. And you can, yeah, this is what we just said, we can add response prompts while the session is live, the same kind of prompts you set up ahead of time. So without any further ado, let's get on Pear Deck and try it. So I'm going to show you how you start your lesson and how you might share that. So I'm going to click Start Lesson. This is what you would do at the beginning of your class. Now I have two options here, and we talked about this earlier. And student-paced mode basically allows the student to go at their own pace, and they're working through a slide deck as an asynchronous lesson piece or activity. I don't use that very often because I tend to, we've got all this asynchronous time and we want to use that, and we don't have as much asynchronous time. But to let you know that you do have that option to have a student-paced mode, I'm going to click instructor-paced activity because I want to control what you guys see. All right. So then what I would do is, this is what I'm sharing with you. I'm going to give students a link. I'm going to copy that to my clipboard. I'm going to come over here and drop it into the chat. So if you could all click on that Pear Deck, you will see it will open up a new tab and you will be in our lesson, so to speak. Liz, do you have a question? Just want to make sure I don't miss your hands. Oh.
Sorry, Hebron, you answered it for me.
Oh, perfect. I want to make sure I don't miss it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so then you can also, by the way, if they go to joinpd.com and punch in this code, they can get into your class. So they're good to go either way. If you're in a Google Meet, just give them the link. Otherwise, you're going to be like, was that a G or a J? I'm like, we're wasting time. Okay, so this is the lesson. And we've already done this part. We've done this part, blah, blah, blah. We want to get to the interactive stuff. Okay, ready? So the first one is, if you look on the Google Meet, you'll see what I'm showing you. And if you go to your Pear Deck, you can actually have the text that you can type. So one word that describes your day, just type it into that text in your Pear Deck tab. You'll have two tabs. One is the Google Meet, and one is the Pear Deck that we have on right now. And I can see that I have 16. Oh, I wonder if I can move this. Sometimes this guy gets in your way. You just move him out of the way. There we go. 18 of 19 responses. Wow, you guys are on top of things so quick. So I can actually share responses with my whole class if I want to. I don't have to. I can just go on to the next slide if it's something that's private, because you can't see each other's Pear Decks unless I share it to the class in this projector. So I'm going to show responses. And then when I'm showing the responses, you'll see that they're like really big. If there's a lot of text involved, it defaults to the list. It's nice. I like to go to the grid because I want to be able to see as many. So fantastic, Italia! Oh, I know who someone is cheering for this afternoon. T-minus 10 minutes. Enlightening, awesome, happy. These are so positive. I love it. This is great. Okay, so that's kind of what a text response looks like. I'm going to go on to the next one. You'll notice that when I clicked on the next one, your ability to type or stay on that slide went away. So that's like instructor paced. So I control the pace for the whole class. All right. So how many years have you been teaching? Enter a number really quickly. We've got 13 of 19. This is fantastic. You guys are like quick. Awesome. And then we can show the responses. Doo-doo. Whoa, look at this. It's got a little graph that shows us from all the way from just starting to 32 years. It's fantastic. All right. Really cool. All right. And
Just a quick question there, Hebron.
Yeah.
Can you tell which students are participating with this mode, which students are giving their responses?
I cannot. That's a good question. Open dashboard, a new device. I think if I open the dashboard in a new window, I should be able to see the students who are in it, but I don't know until I end the session. I don't know if I can. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Okay, I think you can. You see what I'm doing?
No, we can't.
Oh, I'm not sharing this window. It's in a different window. Okay, it's too bad. Okay, this little roster popped up. So basically, leave. Okay, when I clicked on this, 3 dots, there's some options that I have. I can open the dashboard. And when I did that in a new window, I can see who's logged on today. But I don't know if I can see who, you know what? There is another option. Let me just check here. Open dashboard here. There we go. Let's see if I can show you from here. Does it show? Okay, perfect. It's showing the dashboard. So if you go down here, 3 dots, open dashboard in a new window, it opens this, and it gives you the ability to see your class roster, like who's all here. I got 19 people who've joined. I don't think I can see responses specifically who said what until, okay, I can. Okay, I think the number response, I have to change the view. There we go. That's the problem. I did like a layered view. So if I go to here, it's the same thing. Go to layered or go to this. The thing about this is I'm sharing this with the whole class, so I might not want to. You see how it's like hidden all the names and stuff, which is nice, right? Like it's a bit more private. But if I go to my 3 dots dashboard in new window, I can see what people have said. And this is where the feedback can come, right? I might say, amazing career. Oh, let me move my little thing out of the way so you guys can see. So I can send that live and Becky will get that in her little bottom right. There's a little thing that goes bloop. So that's a good question. You can actually see who's answered, but you have to open up your dashboard in a new window. And that's designed so that you're not inadvertently sharing all of this. Like you know what I'm showing you right now, you wouldn't want to share that with the whole class, right? So you'd share this tab, and then in a new tab or a new window, you'd have that available. That's a great question. I'll go back to the layered because I like graphs and tables. I'm going to hide the responses, and then I'm going to keep going here. What's your favorite food? Got 12, 13, 14. I love how quick this is. You guys are like focused people. I love it. Okay. Show responses. If you pop back into the Google Meet tab, you can see that pizza is the winner. Shawarmas are a close second. Pierogies are fourth. And banh mi, because nobody really knows what that is fourth, which is awesome. Okay. So we're going to keep marching along here. Again, I can go back here and see what people have entered. I'll go to the grid layout, and I can give feedback to students. If I think something inappropriate was said, I can hide their response. Or I can star something because I want to come back to this and do a little, consolidation with this piece, with the whole class, perhaps. Right. So I'm going to go back to hide responses and keep going. So this one's interesting. You've got a website to take a look at. Because I guess we have a bit of time. Those are 2 to 3 minute workflow videos. Check it out, pop in there, take a look at the website. We'll have a video for you to watch, and just unmute and ask questions if something's not working or you're wondering something. I'll just wait quietly for 2 minutes so I don't disrupt your videos. All right, so we're gonna, for the sake of time, keep marching on here. But if you are, if it's lagging, it might be because we have a Meet open and you're watching a video. So the selection of a video is probably not the best thing on my behalf for you to be watching. But I wanted you to have that website reference because it's got a lot of quick how-tos. All right, so we'll on to the next thing. This is fun. Quick, I want you to draw a cat as fast as you can with your trackpad, which is going to be hilarious because it's really, really hard. Drawing tools can be good for some math work, especially around number lines, around different pieces that you can get a quick snapshot of what students understand. So that's kind of handy. When our premium ran out last year, we were kind of like sad because the draw tool was so nice. All right, so I'm going to show some of the responses, and then I'm going to keep a look at that. That's awesome. We're going to go to grid. You can see all the beautiful cats people are doing. That's really good. I like this. So you can actually, I'm going to pop in here and show you what I can, say, hey, excellent work. You're using your shape so well, etc. I'm not. This is probably not appropriate feedback, but you know what I mean. You get the point. These are great. Awesome. I know they're really pretty cool cats. I was surprised how well you guys have done that. All right. So the last piece is the draggable one, which is this one's really interesting to me because I love traveling, and we miss traveling because we haven't traveled much for the last couple of years. So this is a nice way of getting student responses in a very, you can be as creative as you want with this. So I'm going to leave that up there. Got 11, 12 responses coming in. I'm sorry if you didn't get to finish drawing your cats. I'm sorry. I know I was kind of getting this on, getting going. I want to take a look at where people are. So the cool thing about the draggable is when you overlay it, you can see where people have visited as a class, and that is a cool spot right there. Where is that? I'm just joking. So and you can see where people have visited and lived in one snapshot. I can change that to a grid layout, and back in I can do the grid layout here and do some feedback as we go. Excellent. Back to grid. There we go. All right, 16 out of 20. That's good enough. We'll keep going here. I'm going to hide the responses in Google Meet. So what are some of the things you might be able to do during the session? Oh, excellent. Somebody pop back in. Great. Was one of the things we talked about. And let's say I wanted to create a new prompt. All of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? I'd really like to get their idea in the middle of this. I've already started the session, right? What do? You can create a new prompt. There's some really interesting, and it's taken a bit of time to load here, but there's some interesting prompts that are pre-made by Pear Deck that are like beginning, during, end of class.
How did you choose a prompt?
And there you'll see them as you browse through some of the Pear Deck stuff. Unfortunately, I think it might be something with our connection here, but I can put a text slide into this, and all of a sudden, now you might have the ability to put text in. Curious about that. All right. I'm not sure. Oh no. All right. Sorry about that. I'm back. Are you guys good? I think I was doing too much with my internet and it didn't like me. Can you hear me? Am I still glitchy? Okay, you can hear me. Thank you, Liz. Awesome. All right. So that's the new prompt is a great tool to be responsive. And I've added a little new prompt there out of the blue that wasn't in our slide. So that's kind of the during the session. Right now, what do? We need to I'm going to keep going to for the session, right? We are going to look at the reflect and review tool and how you can use that to basically assess students and gather some evidence. And the students can review their own responses and see teachers' feedback after the session is done, right? So you can do that down here. I'm going to end the session. There's lots of ways. And you'll notice if you're in the Pear Deck right now, when I end the session, I'm going to call it Pear Deck Tutorial 1. There's this reflect and review option that comes up. All right. There's a few ways to share here. If you're in Google Classroom, you can share it to your Google Classroom. This lesson that we've just done, you can put it in a takeaway Google Doc. This link can be put in that, or you can just copy this link and pop it into your Google Classroom, your Brightspace, and say, hey, this is what we just did today. Students can go and see this. This is the student link. So a student can go and review what they've done, what they did. For the teacher side, we're going to open the Reflect and Review tab. So there's a little There we go. It's just being a little slow today. So I can look at all the different people that have logged in, and I can go through their responses for each slide, and these have no interactivity. These have interactivity, and I can leave feedback. So it's just kind of a blown up version of what we were doing live. I can toggle through students. I can copy the student link and maybe send it to a student and to a parent to say, hey, this is what the work they did. This is the feedback they did. Make sure they have it for each student. That's a really handy reflect and review tool for me to, especially if there's a lesson where I really spent a lot of time getting it together and getting a lot of assessment from students. It's really handy. All right, and I can go back to my sessions. I'm going to go back to show you this because you're going to start having my internet's being slow again. And so in your dashboard, you'll be able to see all the sessions you've had before, and you'll be able to reuse them if you'd like. There we go. So these are all the things I've done before. This is a Pear Deck tutorial. And then I can go in there and look at the dashboard view again, like I did when I was giving you feedback live. Or this is there's a few options. I can reopen it and restart it if I want to do it with another class. I can archive it. I can go back into the reflect and review to review each student's responses, or I can export to spreadsheet, which is really handy when you just want to have like a dump of all the data in one spot. So you can quickly go through rows and see that, people did respond, or if there's specific data that you're looking for. So it's organized by name, time, and slide, so that you can, a drawing was put in by everyone, which is pretty cool. And then you can see where this is the XY locations of the pins for that pin. And so everything's kind of downloaded into a spreadsheet. And then I can organize it in my Google Doc where I want to, get rid of certain columns that I don't need and keep the things that I want. So that's a big overview of all of that stuff for Pear Deck Premium as well. And now we have about 7 minutes. You can ask me some questions and we can work on this together. If you want to try something right now and ask me some questions, you're more than welcome to do that. So that's the end of that. Yeah.
Hebron, I just typed a question in the chat, was just because when you showed that you can restart a Pear Deck with another group, I was just wondering, does it aggregate all the responses into one? So like if you're sharing the responses, or does it overwrite them, or how does that work?
So every time you end a session is when Pear Deck actually saves it. You'll notice when I ended it, it told me like, do you want to name this? So then why don't we do that together? Let's go here. Back to my session. Let's reopen session. Unfortunately, it'll be the same people. But what it'll do is basically, I'll open the session, and then I can run the same things. And then when I end it, I can save it as a different session. So then it won't override my tutorial one.
So like the answers are attached to the renamed session and not the base session that you started with. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think it depends how you do it too, because if I do it from here and start a lesson, it basically starts like, if you're basing it, I would do it from the slides because it just basically starts a whole new lesson. It doesn't matter that I've done it before. Pear Deck doesn't connect that slide with the tutorial that I've named. It'll start a whole new thing. But it's already built out for me, so I can use it with this class and use it with the next class and use it with the next class. So I would actually not start it. I wouldn't start it from here. I would start it from the slide.
From the slide deck set that you wanted to use. Okay, got it. Thank you.
And then when you go end, then it'll be like, okay, now do you want to name it? Perfect. Great question. Fantastic. Thank you everyone for joining in. I know it's kind of a crazy week. Hopefully Pear Deck will make summer school a bit more interesting for you and for your students.